Are you in every way, woman?
Welcome to Every Way Woman. So a lot of people in my generation are wondering if we really need to get married anymore. You're married, Amber. You think so?
Yes, I'm married and I love it.
If you could go back, you'd do it all over again.
I didn't say that. I said I loved it. Marriage can be very difficult. It's a work in progress. But I enjoy it, and so but if I could wait a little bit longer to get married, I would. I would wait.
Why? What do you think that would have changed?
I think I could have maybe dated more, had those experience, or dating and just kind of seeing my options and different things out there instead of just saying, "Oh man, he followed me to California. Let's get married and start a family."
Yeah, I would be inclined to say no, that you don't have to be married unless you're planning on having children. But I was talking to a woman, a very successful woman, who was in a relationship, then they had been together they might as well have been married, 12, 13, 14 years. Wow. And then one day they just walked away. They just walked away from each other. And she went back and she said, at the time I thought I was doing the right thing because I just thought we fell out of love. Mm-hmm. But then when I look back and I'm thinking, how sometimes couples grow in and out of love, and when you're married, you're kind of forced to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And then you have to make a hard decision. And she said if she had waited it out a couple years or so, they probably would have stayed together because they're still friends. They talk to each other.
That's what's interesting. I have a friend whose parents got divorced and then they got remarried because they did have that ebb and flow in their relationship, and they found their way back to each other. Wow. It was really a beautiful story. But even my ex-boyfriend, I really wanted to get married. I grew up in the Midwest. It was always a big dream of mine. I dreamed of the wedding, and he didn't really want to get married. He said, I really like our relationships, and I would do a ceremony, but I don't think I believe in legally having to get married.
Wow.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
I think for me, it's always been opposite. Everybody always wanted to marry me. And I never wanted
because
to
you're
marry.
Latina. They want you to cook, clean, do the dishes.
I've been proposed to more than once. But now I actually do want to get married.
Okay, wait. I want to go back to you've been proposed to more than once.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been waiting.
Or by different people?
Different people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My whole life, and I've dreamed of this moment. And I cannot believe that this
I
girl
said no.
nonchalantly says,
said
"No, it's
no.
happened to me more than once."
Because I had goals, but now I feel like I'm achieving them, and now I feel like
Did you say
somebody
no?
can come.
Wait, did you
Yeah,
say
I
no?
said no. I even threw the
did you
ring
say
once.
no?
That's
Did you
another.
say
You said no.
Right, she said no cracker jack, please. No cracker jack.
That's another topic.
Wait, I was like, no. you got it like that, okay?
I got it like that. But now it's like, I think it's karma or something. Now it's like, I feel like I do want to get married. I do look at, not obviously with the first one that comes,
Right.
but I'm not that picky.
So
You
wait,
know what I mean?
see,
Now,
see,
even
I
though it looks like.
See, I'm the one, I definitely do want to get married. I know that my family is from the South, and I know in a lot of Southern traditions, there's a lot of women who will be a 20-year girlfriend, and that is not for me. I am not doing it. And, so, and my parents were married 35 years till death did they part.
Wow.
And so I want that for my life. Now, I'm not going to settle for just any old body, but.
So how long are you going to be in a relationship before you say, make it or break it? We're doing this or not.
Well, you know what? Quite frankly, given recent events, my answer on that has changed because I just broke up with someone of 4 years because we were at the pooper get off the pot and he wouldn't get off the pot. I said, okay, well, I will. I think it doesn't take 4 years to get to know somebody.
Were you heartbroken by that?
No, it takes more than 4 years to get to know somebody.
But you know what? That it doesn't take 4 years to know if you want to spend the rest of your life with them because I think the most basic parts of who you are have been revealed at that point. So it's like either you know or you don't. And was I heartbroken? No, because I was the one who initiated it. I saw the big picture. I saw the events unfolding, or in this case, not unfolding, and it became apparent to me that this wasn't going to happen. So I just.
To be completely candid in this conversation, and that kind of happened to me in my last relationship, and I thought I could get him to love me again, or love me more, or want that, because he wasn't at that point in the relationship, and I was. And I thought, I don't know, maybe if I do something differently, I could get him to love me even more, and it didn't work, and for me, that really crushed
Let me
me.
tell you, sugar, you can't make a man.
And the first time you
They smell
figure that out,
desperation.
you won't forget it again.
But I don't think it was desperate. I just maybe it was.
I know.
I
Wait,
just wanted to
but
be
just hear
loved.
yourself say that again. What can I do to make him want to love me again? That sounds.
Yeah.
usually the first time you learn that lesson that you can't make somebody do something they're not going to, you can't make them love you.
Right.
Either they do or they don't. The first time you learn that lesson, you typically don't forget it though.
All right, I haven't forgotten my lesson. Let's just put that out there. I learned it. I'm not doing it again.
She's
There
a
you go.
mentor.
Yeah, she's in therapy.
But
I have
how
a-
many
I have-
times have
I
we
know
wanted
somebody.
to like love us, and really we need to take that time to just kind of love ourselves and reconnect with ourselves.
Well,
and
you're taking that time right now.
I am. But at the same time, this is another point I wanted to make. I'm really scared to have that relationship that my parents had. Like, you know, they're not together no more, and they were together for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I'm scared
And they
to
got
give
divorced,
somebody.
or-
Right.
They got divorced,
Okay.
but it just it gets me scared to go for somebody like how my dad was. I mean, as much as I love him, you know, the actions that he made, which is kind of hard to say it here,
Right.
it just breaks me, and I don't want to find myself a guy like that.
Right.
I don't
you
think
know?
you will. You know what?
Or
Just
all
because
men like that, you know?
You're
You know
different.
what I
You're
mean?
different. You
No,
are who
no.
you are, and your mom is who you are. You're not her. You're just a piece of what she has.
I'm a lot
you know,
like her, though.
invested in you. No,
Yeah.
you're a piece of what you've been
Yeah.
invested into. But you're not that way.
But
you
just it's
know?
the whole investing,
But-
investing that much, and then you just break up a family.
No, yeah, no,
you
I
know?
get
It's
it.
hard.
I get it. I totally get it. It was really hard for me. I felt like a failure. I felt a lot of, and also because it wasn't accepted by my family and by his family. I mean, they all think I'm evil. But moving forward, you know, I'm dating someone now. I think he's a really great guy. I mean, it's relatively new, but I think about that. Do I want to get married again? Is it necessary for me to be married again? Do we have to make that legal commitment to each other? And I thought, no, I never want to do it again. But someone had said to me,
Madison, let's continue the conversation when we get back. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I want to continue the conversation, Madison. You were saying.
So what I was saying is that I was telling this to a divorcee. And I had said, no, I never want to get married again, but I'm dating someone, I think he's really great, and I don't think he wants to either. And she kind of took a step back and said, why? Why would you not expect that he have some kind of legal responsibility for you to make sure that you're taken care of when you get older, when you're not, you know, when your time has come? And why wouldn't he expect that from you? So it gave me a different perspective on that as well. You know, there is that legal thing. Who's taking care of who?
In 2008, when the economy crashed, a lot of families crashed as well because they were both legally responsible for each other and on each other's credits. When one lost their job and went bankrupt, it hurt the entire family. Yes. I mean, is that a reason to possibly avoid legally getting married?
I think some people use that as a reason, but ultimately, if you're a team, you're a team.
Right.
And
That's the truth.
Yeah.
My credit got messed up with my ex.
My credit was messed up before I got here.
Right, yeah. She was saved through marriage.
Probably, yes.
Well, I wanted to talk about in kind of moving onto a new leaf, being a stay-at-home mom. And I know you were a stay-at-home mom for some years, weren't you?
Yes, for a long time.
For a long time. How long?
Probably still a stay-at-home mom. For about 8 years.
Is that what you wanted to do when you became a mother?
No. I think I wanted the whole career. I wanted to be in D.C. listening to jazz music, drinking wine, laughing, ha ha ha. And I didn't get that. I got married, and life went bloop. And I had my daughter, and fell in love with her, you know, and the whole family thing. But I still strive for my career. But now it's more like, okay, it was so important. This is so crazy. I took her to school. I was working for a fashion designer. And I took her to school, and it, you know, when you do fashion, it's overnight, it's long hours. And I took her to school, I picked her up, and she could sit up. And they were like, oh, Miss Love, she has one tooth. And I was like, wah! And I took her out of school, quit the job and everything. I was like, wow, stand over. Right, a little apple, she was all happy and stuff. And then
Cheryl, do you think when you become a mom that you would sideline your career?
Cheryl's anti-kids. What did you She's anti-kids
right now. I sure love the babies, and I know that I'm gonna love mine. But I mean, I grew up in a household where I had a working mother, and quite frankly, I spent a lot of time on my education. I spent a lot of time, you know, in the workplace trying to build myself a career. I'm not willing to have done all of that in vain. You know, I have goals that I want to accomplish.
I don't think that would ever be in vain because it's made you the
Right.
woman you
Yeah.
are.
You know what? That's true.
You know-
but then how do I demonstrate to my little girls, you know, my
Well-
hypothetical little girls?
You might
that-
Okay,
right.
so I-
and how do I demonstrate to my son, you know, the kind of woman that he should be striving to try to meet? You know, someone who is driven, someone who has
yes.
goals, and someone
However,
who,
I want you to keep
you know,
in
is
mind,
making their own
Sarah,
way in the world.
that one of the things that you're doing when you have children is you are raising a person,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And who are you putting in charge of raising your person, your people, if you aren't there?
Well, you know what? That's something I'm going to have to face.
Absolutely.
That's a sacrifice
So,
I'm willing to make.
but is it
But I-
because
but
see
you
for
know-
me, yes, I'm a working mom, but it is not my ideal.
Right.
If I firmly believe that children need their mothers and their fathers, but they need their mothers primarily, right? Nature designed that way. Until about 5 or 6. Not saying that you can't ever go back to having a career, but there is a certain point where their informative years are there.
You know,
And I
it's-
thought I have guilt. I swear I have guilt about putting my kids into care of someone else's care because they are learning somebody else's values. They are learning somebody else's habits.
And you
my
know
mom
what?
They are
stayed
learning-
at home, and I'm really grateful she did because we have such an unbreakable bond. But even then, I thought, well, I want a career, and maybe I'll let my mom kind of look after my kids. And the older I get, I think, like you're saying, Madison, I want to be the one who
Yeah.
helps guide that little
Right.
person who sees, the
And
world
I would
in
say,
the right way.
you know,
I'll tell
but there-
something. I enjoy going to the PTA meetings. I enjoy knowing that I'm bringing cupcakes and I'm helping the class. And even though, to my mom, she was like, "Why are you doing that?" I would give it up any day, and I still do it now. I still every job that I do find that I do try to work at,
Yeah.
I still try to make sure
Anna-
that I have time for my children.
I had a working mom, so she was, working. Both parents were working, but for me, like, I just don't want to change diapers.
You know what? And but
Oh,
you know,
you're gonna pay somebody for that.
in another vein,
saying.
I don't mind changing diapers, but I'm sorry, I need intellectual stimulation and trying to transmit
Hang
that
on,
to
hang on a
infant.
minute.
I'm gonna go crazy.
You
Okay,
know.
okay, go nuts.
Well, you can read a book.
At the end of the day,
You
that's
can
what
read a
I
book.
know.
Adult conversation.
You know,
You know,
but you
but
have
you know
a
what?
partner. You have a partner,
What
right?
works for you
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily
What
work
I'm
for
saying
me.
is you
can't
don't-
assign yours to me.
No, I'm not saying that. But you know, if your career comes first, there's nothing wrong with choosing to have a career over having a family.
There's
that's
absolutely
okay,
nothing
too.
wrong with that. We'll be right back with more Everyway Woman.
Too pink? Too purple? Too much coral? How do you find that perfect red lipstick just for you? We'll find out next when we come back.
Ladies, we all know that not every red lipstick is created equal. So Anna's here to help us figure out what we need to do to find that perfect shade.
I'm like, no,
No,
red
no.
lips, the red lipstick. Oh my gosh, it's like finding that little black dress. It's hard.
And
girl.
it's a necessity, but I can admit I don't have a red lipstick. I'm too nervous to buy one. Every time I put it on, it's orange.
When the average woman goes into the department store, what's the first thing you do? You go to the makeup, right? Makeup
course.
section. And then when you go to the makeup section, you end up buying the first thing you see. that
Try before you buy.
You gotta try it on. Don't be afraid to ask the person behind that counter to help you. That's why they're there.
And don't be afraid to say no, not today. Walk around with it,
Yes.
check it out. And what I
Different
like to
brands.
do, exactly, not only different brands, but different stores. So figure out that perfect shade.
Yes.
Then wear it to the drugstore and buy it $20 cheaper. Little secret of mine.
I am happy you mentioned that, and that's one of the reasons I brought the brand that I actually brought.
Okay.
Because a lot of people can't spend those, $16 on a lipstick.
No,
I
so
mean,
what do
let's
you
be
have?
real. You
Yeah.
know, the average person, you want to find a good deal. So we have NYX,
Okay.
and this is a matte red lipstick. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and put it on my hand.
And I heard that this is actually a really great way to test it with your skin tone.
Exactly.
But what does skin tone even mean?
Girl, that's a whole new different scientific. No, I was kidding.
Exactly. I'm
But
no scientist.
I will explain it just
Okay.
because when it deals with skin tones, you have to look at your own skin tone because there's different undertones.
But I don't even know what that means. People are like, you're
So-
blue, you're orange. How
There's
do you know?
different undertones, which is blue, yellow, and olive. So there's
Okay.
different undertones for different complexions, which are light, medium, and dark complexion. you know? So like as for me, the texture of the lipstick is matte, so it's pretty dry. That's why I don't want to put it on the model because it's a little bit harder. You got to put it through the tube. We want to be clean. So this is pretty much how it looks.
And what about our beautiful, lovely model, Madeline, today, and her skin tone?
She has a little bit more of the yellow complexion, so I'm going to go ahead and use the makeup brush. And again, we're using NYX, and
What color is that?
it's 511.
511.
But you know what? It's the only cranberry color that they have. It's actually
Okay.
one of my favorites. It's
Sure.
the one that I always wear, so people. Okay, so this one is not matte. So while I'm putting it on her, it's a little bit more shinier and a little bit more cranberry.
It has almost like a satin finish to it.
Yes, and it's beautiful for the medium undertone, medium complexion.
And do you have to use the brush? Because I just put it right
If,
on.
if you're a makeup artist, yes, to be clean. But at the same time, if you're doing it on yourself, no. Obviously, you can use that tube, but it's just, you know, health cleaning.
Is it essential that I use a liner?
You know,
Because when I put it on, it is all over the
the
place. I'm not gonna lie.
the liner is really good to go ahead and plump up your lips to make
Okay.
them look fuller. So you
Sure.
know what? Yeah, use a liner. For her, I'm not going to use a liner because she already has beautiful lips.
And how do I avoid that bleed? Because if I do wear a bright color, sometimes it ends up below my lip or above the lip.
Okay, for that, you don't want to use the shiny one. So
Okay.
for you, you should stick to the matte one. So the first
Okay.
one that I actually tried on.
A matte
so it
won't
won't
bleed.
bleed. Number one, that's the first trick. The second trick is use a liner for you, so it won't bleed.
Okay.
Okay, that's my trick to you. And there's just so many things you can do with red lips. You don't want it boring. Don't keep it boring. So I have a little trick.
What's
What
your
I
trick?
like to do is just use any at-home gloss or any cheap gloss that you find. It doesn't have to be like a big brand.
Can it be a clear gloss?
Yes, it
Okay,
doesn't have to be colored.
great.
Right now, I'm using a pink one just because I want to. But I'm gonna go ahead and dip it into some red glitter.
Oh, this
And
is an arts and crafts project
yes,
right here.
you don't want to eat it, okay? So don't eat it. But
This
what
is
you-
not a dinner red.
what you're gonna go ahead and do, it's probably for a photo shoot or a night out, partying. Don't party.
Vegas.
You look young. You look too young. But this is pretty much what I'm doing, which is just dipping it into that and then putting it on her lips, which just gives you a little bit more of a, wilder side, not keeping it so boring.
Oh, that is wild. That is stunning. That is going to make sure you leave your mark on any man, woman,
Glitter.
or glass. You'll know which one is yours. But at the end of the night, do you have a secret on getting that lipstick off?
A wipey.
Just a
Mhm,
makeup
makeup
wipe?
wipey, definitely. Yeah, definitely you want to take that off. If it's not already off by the end of the day, with the whole glitter one, definitely a wipey or some makeup remover.
Well, thank
But
you
yes,
very
wash
much. You look lovely, Madeline. I will no longer be afraid of the red lipstick. More on Every Way Woman. Stay tuned. Coming up next, more Every Way Woman.
Do you know the #1 medical reason that keeps women home from work? Stay tuned for Every Way Woman for the answer. Do you know the #1 medical reason why women do not go to work on Mondays? Today, Dr. Sherry Thomas is here with the answer. The answer is
Bladder infections.
if I had a bladder infection, I wouldn't tell anybody that. So where did they get that statistic from?
Well, it turns out women get 1 or 2 bladder infections a year.
Okay.
And most of us drink a little bit more water and try to clear it ourselves. But some women just get recurrent infection after recurrent infection. And it keeps them out of work, and it is the #1 cause of lost days
Really?
for women. Yes. So I'm not sure where they get the statistic, but yes, I agree with you. I wouldn't call
I
them with
thank
a
you for
cold.
that stat because I'm in human resources. So now when my staff comes in and they say they have the flu, it could be a bladder infection.
Right. But it's good. It's important to follow up on that. So when you
Right.
get your bladder infection, you may have an antibiotic at home and take it, but follow up with your doctor and get that urine culture to make sure the bladder infection went away.
Well, even before we get, what are some of the symptoms that
Oh.
a person could
The symptoms are easy.
Okay.
Burning with urination,
Okay.
urgency, frequency. You may even try to urinate and nothing comes out, or women may have blood in their urine. And that blood in the urine is a very big concern if you're over 40. You want to run straight to your doctor and get that worked up to make sure it's just a bladder infection.
Is there anything that I could do preventative? Because I've had them before and they are awful. Is there anything that I could do?
Very simple and very inexpensive.
And what is that?
Drink 8 glasses of water a day.
Water is the
Water.
solution to all that pain?
Water, not Coke, not alcohol, but water. And if you're menopausal, it turns out using a little vaginal estrogen helps because it helps change the pH.
Okay.
All of us can eat a little bit more lactobacillus, so we can do that in either Greek yogurt or
Okay.
just take some lactobacillus over the counter. And that helps give us friendly bacteria in our gut.
Okay. So I didn't drink the water. I have all the symptoms. I'm full blown now and I have my antibiotics. Is there anything that I should be paying attention to while I have the bladder infection?
So you have antibiotics and you're
Yes,
going
I
to take
do.
them. Yeah, so
So-
take your antibiotics
Okay.
and make sure that you take every one of them your doctor gave you, and when you're done, follow up and get a culture to make sure it went away, because that's where we get the recurrent infections. People don't take all their antibiotics or they don't follow up, and a month or two later they have it again. Well, it turns out that same infection was just suppressed, but it's now brewing again. The other thing is when you're taking your antibiotics, if you're getting more sick, you can't keep down fluids, you're running a temperature, that's not just a bladder infection, that's a kidney infection. And you need to
Okay.
get right into the emergency room hospital right away. When you get a kidney infection, that's serious.
So a kidney infection is an extension of a bladder infection? You can't, is that how that works?
Yes, so many times when we get urgency, frequency, and we
Right.
blow it off, oh, I'm tough, I'm a woman, I can survive that. And then it brews for a while, we can actually get a kidney infection.
Okay.
So the kidney infection you want to get on right away, because that can be serious. Remember, before antibiotics, that's how people died, and that's how you lost a kidney, because we couldn't treat it.
So let's say I have a bladder infection. This happened to me before, and the antibiotics are not working. Do I go back to my doctor and ask for different antibiotics? Can I mix antibiotics?
Yes.
How
So
do I make it go away?
you don't want to be your own pharmacist and start mixing antibiotics. So immediately you start your antibiotic. Within a day or two, you should start feeling better. If the day 3 you're not, call your doctor, get back in. A lot of times, as I am actually a urogynecologist, so I take care of a lot of women with recurrent bladder infections, I'll obtain a little bit of urine from you through the urethra to make sure the organism you're growing, we get the right antibiotic for that organism. And that is so important.
Okay. So the key is, 1, to get to the doctor, 2, to continue the antibiotics, because, once I start feeling well, and I do this all the time, I may have 30 pills in a bottle, but by pill number 10, I'm feeling good, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to take any more pills. That's not good, right?
Right, because you don't want to just suppress the organisms, you want to clear them up. You don't want to have that infection a month later, and then take what's left in the bottle, and then 2 months from now you have the worst infection that most antibiotics won't treat.
Why are bladder infections so painful? Why are they, they hurt.
Because it's an infection in the bladder, and that's why we see blood sometimes.
Okay.
It's an infection that is irritating, and the bladder just wants to get rid of the infection, so it contracts and cramps.
What else can cause a bladder infection besides what you've mentioned?
Well, the common causes of a bladder infection are sexual activity.
Oh, okay. That's why people
stress,
don't say they have them.
and travel. So after sexual activity, get up, urinate, and drink a big glass of water. When you travel, make sure you're drinking lots of water. And other things like spinning, wearing too tight of pants. You may just need to, change those thongs for some granny underwear. Or better yet, go without.
Now, I don't know if they're going to change the thongs for some grannies, but I do. I do. Okay, so, and then after sexual activity, I should urinate. And real quick, what if I can't urinate? What should I do real quick?
That's because you're not drinking enough water. Drink that big glass of water.
Okay, you've helped me, because now I know when my staff calls in that they have a bladder infection and they didn't want to tell me. They called it something else. Dr. Thomas, it was a pleasure having you. Listen, you cannot take care of others unless you take care of yourself first. Stay tuned for more Every Way Woman.
Every Way Woman gives back to the community. Go to everywaywoman.com to find out how you can match our donations of undergarments for needy kids. Thanks for getting to know Every Way Woman.
I'm an everyday woman, woman, woman in every way. Yeah, yeah, I'm living my life, living